So in addition to there being typical trusts like the living trust that we talk about, there most people are familiar with their estate plan, putting assets into the trust, who gets rid of your stuff. There's also more specific asset protection trust. And so one of those that we talk about, or I'm talking about in this video, is a self-settled trust or self-titled trust, also called a domestic asset protection trust, ADAPT, DAPT. Unique kind of trust where you're actually setting up the trust yourself and you're the sole beneficiary of it. And so you're able to receive assets from that trust, which is a little bit different from what is common with those revocable living trusts, where typically you're just managing the trust, but the assets are going to eventually go to your beneficiaries. And so this domestic asset protection trust is really, I think, most commonly used for a type of asset protection, so that basically you're not controlling those assets. There's typically going to be another trustee, somebody, a company, a trust company, typically something like that, a bank, that's going to be managing those assets for you, and they're just giving you distributions, they're giving you some sort of payment, they're managing it so that if you get sued, if a creditor comes after you, basically you can say, well, that's not my money, I can't get the money because the trustee has it, right? So it's a commonly used tool for asset protection purposes, but something to consider is they're not valid in the majority of the states. So Florida, for example, they're not valid. I think as of 2023, there's really only about 17 or so states that allow them. So it might be something that, if you're not a resident in the state that allows it, you might be able to set up this DAPT in a different state that does allow them, but it's something to consider. So if you're a business owner, if you're in a high litigious profession, maybe you're a doctor or maybe even an attorney, something like that, it might be an option you want to consider. So again, if you're worried about getting sued, if you think that an irrevocable trust might make sense, the DAPT, the Domestic Asset Protection Trust, the self-titled trust, that might be an option that you look into.